Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball. Your tournaments are all ready, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, get on the website, game7baseball.com, get some more tournaments.
There's a lot of them out there.
Yes, there is.
They're all over, too, so that's good for people looking.
I'm going to push my own, too. You know, we got the Elite Championship coming up. Did you get in yet?
No.
Man,
It's an invite only, ain't it?
No.
Did you invite me?
I invite you, man. Yeah, I'm inviting anybody who wants to come play.
All right. Well, I'll tell Coach Jamal. It's 13U, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got, there's a couple Gators teams. Harden's in there. Cameron's squad's in there. So, Eureka. We got a handful so far.
I looked.
Get it up.
I definitely looked, but I thought it was an invite only.
Hey, if you win, if you're in the championship, baby, if you're in the championship game, you get a live stream.
What?
Yeah.
Do I get on air? Can I get on air too?
Right.
I like to do play-by-play.
There you go. Game7baseball.com. Get your team registered, baby. Well, as you can see, as always, I got my cohort over there, Mitch Thomas. Mitch, how you doing, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Always good to see you. And today on the show, we have Jake Depew, who works out of the sports barn with the Missouri Gators. And as you can see by his shirt there, he runs the virtual HitLab, which we have him on today because we've been talking hitting, right? Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming, man. We appreciate it. Drop some knowledge on us. As always, I'm the guy, the Joe Schmo. That's why I bring you guys on, so we can get some knowledge here. And we're going to start, though. We're doing something new. I haven't even told you this yet.
Okay.
But we're going to have a little fun here. I'm going to start this. We're going to ask Jake his top 5 baseball movies.
Oh, boy.
Am I the first one to do this?
Yes.
Okay.
You're the inaugural, man.
Wow. I feel special.
Top 5 baseball movies.
Number one, no doubt, Bull Durham. Been watching that one for once a year for about 20 years now. But next one, Field of Dreams. Got to go 42. Big fan of that one. And then Sandlot and Rookie of the Year. Couple throwbacks from when I was
Rookie of
younger.
the Year. I think Justin, that's one you like too, right? Rookie of the Year, yeah. Wow, you pulled that one out.
Yeah.
Is Rookie of the Year the one with the kid from the Cubs that breaks his arm out in the outfield and whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What was the character's name?
Henry Rowan Gardner.
Rowan Gardner, that's right. I can remember he floats it.
The floater. That's right.
Yeah,
Great movie.
yeah.
Rookie of the Year. Wow, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, save that one for you.
Yeah.
That threw me for a loop.
Yeah. But so we got at the top you had Bull Durham.
Yep.
Next was
Field of Dreams.
42.
42. Sandlot.
And you know what? My gosh, I think I watch Sandlot probably twice a year.
Yeah.
You got to.
You have to.
And you can't watch Sandlot 2. It just kind of destroys everything.
No, yeah. Stay away from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But Sandlot, I love those last 2 at the end there. That kind of pulled it all together, didn't it?
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, I like it. I don't know why we have to choose 5 because I feel like there's so many of these movies that are just
well, we got to start somewhere, bro.
Well, so I've been watching, MLB Network, obviously been playing 42 quite a bit lately. I really love that passion in that movie, especially with the actor. I know that he's left this earth, but his acting in that movie was just phenomenal. So 42's kind of been my thing lately. I wouldn't say that's my number one. I'm probably going with a Bull Durham as my number one. The Natural.
The Natural. There you go.
Is there. Sandlot. This is where it gets tough for me because I love A League of Their Own. And I can't remember the name of the cartoon, but it's the kid that gets Babe Ruth's bat. For the life of me, I can't remember this movie. Hero. I think it's Hero or something like that. Maybe it's not.
That's
Hero.
a black and white movie, though, right?
No. It's literally probably maybe 10 years old. It's a little cartoon about a bat that's Babe Ruth's. It's a female character that plays Babe Ruth's bat. It's his name of the bat, and this little kid has it. He goes around, he's chasing the Yankees, and
I haven't seen that.
Yankees Cardinals World Series thing. It's just a fun movie, so it's not like it's a huge. Everyone's Hero.
Everyone's Hero.
Yeah, thank you. Good call.
You were close. Hero.
Yeah, I knew it was something like that. It's an interesting movie, but Field of Dreams has to be there over that. It's just kind of what is the trend for me and what I want to watch right now. I think it changes. The top 5 changes every other
so
year
many.
for me. Yeah, because there's a bunch of good movies we're not talking about. You have Bad News.
Well, I was telling him before we started, I went back to Pride of the Yankees.
Yep.
I mean, that's a great movie. I mean, but you're talking black and white,
Right.
You go back. There's the comedy one that I think it was. Damn Yankees.
I never seen that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was a band. It wasn't a band. Isn't it a band?
I don't know.
I have to look, but I'm almost positive is it when that Abbott and Costello did their skit in that movie too. So right there, that puts it,
it's the greatest skit of all time.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's so many. I think baseball, movies wise, there's so much over history.
Right.
As you said, I think it's relative to when you were born.
Yeah.
Right.
If you were exposed to, some of those older movies or not, you may not have known them. But I think that's why I love the conversation, because somebody may go, oh, I need to go watch that, check it out.
Yeah, everyone's hero.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on it. Obviously, I had kids at the time that it came out. So I was like, cartoon movie, baseball, Babe Ruth, let's watch it and it be good. But we didn't even talk about what I guess it was the rookie that was Kevin Costner. The rookie. It was Kevin Costner's.
No, that was
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. That's right. Sorry. And that's a kind of a
true story too.
So
but there are Kevin Costner. We were talking before. There's 3 good ones. For Love of the Game.
Yep.
Field of Dreams and Bull Durham. So he's a popular. Popular actor there.
Exactly. So I think it's a great conversation. I love talking baseball movies. They're fun to watch. It's, if you like baseball, and evidently we do, right?
Yes.
So you got to watch them. There you go. So check those movies out, guys. Let's get into our conversation today. Why we brought Jake here. We're going to talk hitting, because as we've been discussing the world around us, and we brought it into the subject matter in our winter workout tour recently, and it's going to be a big subject there, and what clubs are doing today. And that's why we got you on here with the HitLab. And I know you guys, the HitLab works out of the sports barn there with the Missouri Gators, but it's such a data-driven field at this point. How are you taking that data, that information? What is the HitLab about in that respect?
Yeah, so our process and kind of how we go about things is we use our data or our technology to assess. We get baseline numbers, figure out how athletes move, how they swing, what their mobility stuff looks like, where they're deficient. Mm-hmm. And then we take that data and we put it all in one place, and then we kind of dive into it. And then we form their plan based on what that data looks like. And that includes video. It's not strictly based on the numbers, right? Like we look at the swing, we take notes on what we see within the swing. We go back later in slow motion, we break down the swing, and then we look through, the data, see if, what we're seeing matches what the numbers are saying, just kind of reassurance, or it might tell us we're completely off base. You know what I mean? So that happens.
And that's something, kind of what you said there, how do the numbers tell you what that looks like? I think that's an interesting thought process, because if you go back 20 years, we probably didn't have that data. We're using video still, right?
Right.
So how are these numbers really kind of bringing that information to that next level in that respect?
Yeah, I think obviously there's all kinds of metrics out there, and it depends kind of what we're looking at and which part of the body, whether it's how the bat's moving, how the lower half's moving. It just depends what we're looking at, right? But we're able to take, like I said, we're able to take the video, dive into it, and there's things happen. No matter how slow you break down video, there's things happening that you can't see. Right.
Live. Can't see it live.
Yeah, you can't see it live. Right. I've been watching swings for my whole life. Right? I feel like I have a good idea of what I'm seeing. but I'm not always right in what I'm seeing. And that's where I'm able to take the technology and it's able to make me better.
Do you use things? What kind of technology do you use for? Is it as simple as blast motion, hit tracks? Do you use any information that you put little plugs on the body or whatever they're called, probes, to feel how, or to actually get that kind of testing on how the body moves? What kind of technology do you use?
We use blast motion for the bat. We use Repsodo for ball metrics, and then our biomechanical stuff is K motion, so KVest. So we put a torso sensor, a lead arm sensor, a pelvis sensor, and then a lead hand.
Are you a big fan of the K sensor stuff?
Yes, huge fan. Yes.
I've obviously seen that. We haven't invested into that. We don't have those kinds of athletes. We're more of the second level athlete. So I haven't really dug into seeing that. But as the more information that gets out there, obviously you have to stay hip to what's happening in today's youth sports. And we're starting to get a little bit better talent each and every day that wants to work. They want to find out how to manage their body, how to maximize the effort in it. So I was just curious. You talked about the measurements and stuff like that. It's like, are we getting into just blast motion, hit tracks, Rapsodo, things like that, and then coach's eye or whatever you use for some of your slow motion tools? I know that blast and hit tracks has that stuff built in, but I was just curious if there was anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I think, go ahead.
The K motion stuff for me, like we're big into sequencing and how the body's moving, right? Make sure we're moving in the right sequence. Each segment of the body is both moving right and decelerating right. So we're able to see that stuff. It spits out graphs for us, all that. Obviously, there was a portion of learning how to read all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we have a pretty good grasp on it now, and it's good. It's a good tool.
I like the fact that you're honest about that. There's a lot of people wouldn't necessarily, but I say that honestly, that admit, it took us a little bit to get a hold of that, but I think that's true of anybody. There's learning curves and everything, right?
Everything. Yeah. I mean, and just in terms of the swing, like I played baseball my whole life, and what I was taught up until I was probably 16 years old, I to this day don't necessarily believe is right. You know what I mean? There's parts of it that I like, and there's parts of it that I hate, and that's just part of it. I mean, that's reality, and you just kind of like there was a learning curve of me diving back into the swing, kind of through my own pro career, and figuring out, okay, why are the best players in the world succeeding the way they are, and why am I struggling? What's different, and diving into that and using my own struggles to kind of help me learn, what the swing's supposed to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a big time interesting take on kind of what you just said there is I've been hearing that a lot lately in general. What did we learn up until a certain age? And it seems like everybody has that 14 to 16 years old to where they were taught a certain way, and then all of a sudden at those ages, it changed.
Yeah.
And what do you think has caused that? Is it your understanding of your body a little differently? Obviously, the instruction as you got older was very different when you went through the professional experience. But what happened between like 16 and 18 that changed versus, say 14 to 16?
Well, I think probably the first thing is just the era in which I was growing up. Like this, I was probably like my high school career was probably the start of like new school, right? So that was a big part of it. I think the other part, and I think it's still happening to this day, we're teaching kids a certain way so that they have success in the moment, right? Their bodies are not strong enough to necessarily do certain, get to certain positions and move a certain way. And I think once you start to get to high school, not everybody, most people, their bodies start to develop, they get stronger. Now they can start to move a little more efficiently. But I think it's, for me, it was a big, the timing in which it was happening, right? Like it was the start of new school,
So the squashing the bug went out the window at that time frame?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
let's just trying to hit the ball, it says here, and we've talked about this, trying to hit the ball harder, being consistent. The K vest and the things like that. It's curious to me, when you're looking at those numbers, how does that help bring some awareness to how the body moves? If the player can't feel that, actually understand the movement, creating, because in the end, it's still muscle memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that function, and what the feedback and the conversation back and forth once those things are in place? How does that happen?
Yeah, I think that we have plenty of athletes who can't feel what their body's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's probably the biggest challenge in coaching for me. But I also, it's my job to figure out how they do it, right? Like, I have to figure out how I get them to feel it. Even if they can't feel it, I have to figure out how I get them to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're big believers in finding ways to train movement patterns, even if we're not hitting a ball.
Right.
So we'll put their bodies in positions, whether it's just with a PVC pipe or whatever, could be nothing. And we need them to train that movement pattern over and over because, like you said, it's muscle memory, right? So we have to get them to move the right way somehow, whether they can feel it or they can't, right?
Yeah.
And we have drills that are designed to do specific things, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we've got guys struggling with X, like, they're prescribed this drill, right? And that, whether they can feel it in that drill or not, we're getting them to do it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's kind of our easiest process in terms of that.
Challenges, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
To add on that a little bit, how important is weight training to some of this? And the second part to that question is, what age do you think is a good start to develop muscle?
I think well, first off, weight training is probably the most important part of this. I like to think of it as everyone's, we'll just use exit velocity, for example, because everybody knows what it is, right? If I'm 5'8" and I'm 150 pounds, right? Like, you can come see us. We'll make you a little better, hopefully, right? That's the plan, right? But if I'm 5'8", 150 pounds, my ceiling is right here, right? So whether I'm currently here or I'm here, whatever it is, I can only get this better until I figure out how to put on 25 more pounds of muscle, and now I can continue to improve even more, right? So I think weight training is the biggest piece to this, right? Because you have to be strong enough to put your body in certain positions, get in your legs, and move the right way, and move efficiently, right? Yeah, I think it's huge. And I think, to answer your question in terms of when, there's things you can do as early as possible to start training how you move, right? Yeah. Whether you're at, it doesn't mean you're putting 150 pounds on your back and squatting it, but
Right.
There's things you can do to move better.
Absolutely. And we're doing that now is I'm trying to push our athletes over at the Tribe to lift and lift weight. Not just, high endurance stuff, trying to have them well conditioned for tryouts. I want them to be strong because as an athlete, when I hit the weight room, that's when I learned my body the most. Is I learned how to move efficiently, to move the weight and without getting hurt. And then I realized, I know how to now open up my hips a little bit or use that pelvis. I get the two different. I should probably know this as a hitting coach, but getting that body part to move, it's weight training is huge for me, and a confidence booster, right? At the end of the day, you got a 14-year-old kid that's still got baby fat on him. You put them through a little bit of workout to get a little vascular, and next thing you know, that ego pops up, and then they're hitting a ball 10 miles an hour harder, and they're trying to figure out why was still an ugly swing, and just like you just got stronger.
Right. Because 10 miles an hour, ball on the ground, it may get through the infield, whereas before it didn't, right?
Yeah, or you hit it a little bit higher, and now it's over somebody's head where it wasn't before.
Right. So. And I think that in a game, when you start moving up levels, when you start putting that situation where you have high level athletes. Now, to that end, and I say high-level athletes, what are you looking for in this? And I'm sure it's open to anybody who wants to come, and I understand that. But honestly, with this type of investment, really, you've got to really want to pursue that. So are you looking for a particular mental attitude in the athlete as well?
Yeah, I think their mentality is huge. We don't, and we haven't had this issue. Typically, the people who are going to come in and train with us are people who are striving to be the best they can be, right? And we don't turn people away because they play at this level or
Right.
right?
I understand.
Whatever your next level is, whatever level you're trying to get to, like, we're there to help you try to achieve that, right? And that's what we've done, and we haven't had an issue where we've had where parents are making kids come in and just get to work, right? Because they want to, a babysitter for an hour. We haven't had that issue,
Yeah.
Typically, like you said, it is an investment. You come in and they get to work, and their mentality is usually right.
Because we've talked about this before, and being on the high school side, you've been both played at collegiate, you went in the professional level. At some point, you have to add the muscle. You have to get stronger. If your peak is here because you're $150 and you're 5'8", and if your body grows more and you're physically able to do it, you have to get stronger. You have to understand. And I think that point you made there about how the weight training helps you understand your body more. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah.
Because that to me makes a huge impact on the whole scope of things, right?
Absolutely.
It's always interesting to also go back and look at the athletes, like the professional levels of the 60s, 70s, and then you get into the 80s, and all of a sudden we got guys that are starting to get bigger, and then the 90s, and obviously the steroid era or whatever. But you look at athletes now, and they are, they're not looking like hockey players. No offense against anybody that plays hockey, but hockey guys don't look like baseball players anymore.
They're getting there nowadays.
Well, it seems like everybody's trying to stay pretty fit. But at the end of the day, like looking at just the history of baseball and seeing, big chubby guys going out and hammering baseballs. And then now you got guys that are 220 pounds that are just jacked, and they're able to do things. It's interesting how baseball has changed. What really it is. A guy can be chubby but still lift weights.
Yeah. And
still get strong. There's no way this guy's not doing push-ups. You know what I mean? If Babe Ruth is going out and eating hot dogs, he's doing push-ups somewhere down the road to burn off the 10 hot dogs he might eat a game. But I've always noticed that about our sport. It doesn't. If you're small, what are you doing to be relevant? Mm-hmm. If you're big, what are you doing to be relevant? I'm not trying to diet. I'm just trying to murder a baseball. So I'm going to lift weights to do that. Yeah. And that was my motivation when I played. So now I'm trying to get these kids to understand it. I do more, like if we do, I don't have the technology necessarily. We have blast motion hit tracks, fun stuff like that. I use my sessions now to lift weights and some of my hitting. We do a lot less hitting. I'm trying to get guys to do movements, your PVC stuff, your kettlebell works, trampolines, weird things to understand how the body, it can be manipulated and it needs to move. And I have been more effective there than spending a half hour trying to get 100 swings in a half hour to make parents happy because they're spending $40-$50 in that session. I am getting 10, 15, 20 swings, but I'm getting kids to understand their body, and all of a sudden everything's peppered up the middle. We've talked about it numerous times. I'm sure you can attest to this. Big leaguers don't go, or minor leaguers don't go in a cage and try to yank everything. Everything's inside the ball, up the middle, up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. And they're trying to get that barrel on that baseball. And if that's what we're looking at, that's what we should be achieving. And you got to do that with body awareness, posture.
I think, like you said, you're spending more time doing that. I think that's the challenge of the hitting lesson, right? Is the expectation is you come in and you hit, right? Because that's what they've always done. And that's the challenge of seeing them once a week for 30 minutes to an hour. HitLab has tried to design something like our high school players. We see them twice a week, right? Mm-hmm. We spend a lot of time on, how they move, and we're not necessarily concerned about how many swings they're getting when they're in there with us. Like, it's our job to teach them how to move and to do things right. We give them a 5-day-a-week hitting program, right? 2 of those days they do spend with us, but they're expected to go hit on their own the other 3 days of the week, right? I think, my experience with hitting lessons, in the past has been, you see them 30 minutes and we'll see you next week. Nice job, right?
Yeah. And
that's just not in my opinion, it's not the best way to develop athletes or develop hitters, and that was my whole goal in creating what HitLab is today.
And on the parent side of things, you want that, you're investing, right? And again, the same way I go about my business is I might have a kid that struggles at a single A level. My job is to get him to double A.
Right.
Double A, triple A, hopefully get to that next level. Whatever it is, it's middle school ball, it's a high school ball. Let's get them to make the high school team.
Yeah.
That's my motivation. Now, when I get a client, I say, what's your dedication to this sport? Yeah. If you want to come in here one time a week for 30 minutes, I can't do this.
Right.
I have to have you in here. So I started to change my approach, and I want you here twice a week so that I know that you're getting reps twice a week. Yes, it's more money, but we're investing, and I can get you better in 4 weeks than I can in 8 weeks once a week. And I've had those results. And if the proof is there, right, you keep going. Well, guess what? I got referral after referral after referral. You got to do this. Well, we spend, again, 20 minutes lifting weights on a Tuesday. We hit for 10 minutes. We spend 10 minutes getting warmed up on med ball stuff on Thursday, and then we go hit for 20 minutes. And I don't have a parent complaining about that. Awesome. 5 years ago, I did. I'm gonna 100 swings.
I'm gonna use an analogy for both you guys, hitters, right? And I saw something you wrote about yourself in here, Jake. I thought it was interesting. On the HitLab.
About myself?
Yeah. I did? Or somebody wrote it in here about you. It wasn't here.
That's from a player.
Yeah, no, it was about you. You said didn't have an approach. Mm-hmm. Right? We've talked about approach, coming to the plate with an approach, understanding. So in one respect, what I'm gathering, and this has been something interesting because our last show or 2 shows ago, something like that, Shane Eames talked about got a chance to work with Pujols when he was here and whatnot because of mutual friends and whatnot. And watching how he did his work and the things, whatnot, it changed the thought process, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting as you guys have grown, you're coming out of college, pros, what you did then from 16 to now. I hate some of those things. And as I'm hearing this from what instruction used to be, especially with the data and the things that we have now, you've had to really change your approach to hitting instruction, yeah? Yeah,
no doubt. I think, and we try to come up with a good way to teach approach, right? And there's more. We've had people say in the past, HitLab teaches the swing and only swing, right? And we've tried to evolve since then and try to get away from that. We don't want to be swing coaches, right? Like, we'll leave that to golf. We want to be hitting coaches, right?
There's a few in St. Louis that are swing coaches. We have a few swing coaches here in St. Louis.
We want to be hitting coaches, right? So. Depending on the time of the year that you're training with us, we run different sessions, we call it. Depending on the time of the year you're training with us, different things are happening, right? Like, your program is geared to different things. So as we move closer to the season now, like we're February today, things are a lot more approach driven, and we're getting more machine hacks versus hitting off the tee. Mm-hmm. Where back in October, we were trying to build the swing a little bit,
Right.
So depending on the time of the year, that stuff has played a factor, and we've tried to evolve and get better with that as time has gone on.
Do you get the question of, like, when you get a new client coming in, they've hit with a couple different instructors, and I'm a firm believer that at some point that you start to fall on deaf ears as a coach. You get 2 or 3 years in, you have a kid, you say, hey, let's go work with so-and-so to continue your growth. Because I feel like at times that does happen, because you can only do so much. If you got a kid that's coming in 40 weeks out of the year, at some point, right? You feel like your relationship changes. Kind of what I was trying to get at there with saying that, how many parents come in and say, hey, little Jimmy, he can hit in a cage. We talk about approach here. He can hit in a cage, but he can't translate to a game. How do we fix that? Do you guys incorporate that into your HitLab too? Situational hitting, things like that, to help take what they can do in a cage and have that same confidence there and take it to the field. Because I feel like in today's experiences that kids really struggle with confidence in games. And so how do you build that there to translate?
Yeah, I think we have a unique thing where the majority of our players that we train are Gators players or GBA players, right? Mm-hmm. I also work for GBA, so all of our GBA guys in our team setting, training on the weekends, everything we do is approach based or situational based. That's not a time to build the swing, in our opinion. What we do within HitLab, it starts with the swing and we progress closer to the season. But yeah, I mean, we have people come in and say that we just can't get it to translate. And honestly, like I struggle with that. I lose sleep over that. You know what I mean? Because that's our job.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't care. Yeah. I don't care how good you are in the cage. That's not the goal. Like the goal is how good can you be
a
on
5
the
o'clock
field.
hitter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to get the text message after a weekend that they had a great weekend, the way they hit, they came up clutch, 2-strike hitting, 2-out hitting, all those things. I love getting those messages from parents. I don't like getting the ones, well, I don't know, I can't understand why they can't go out and hit.
He's 0 for 50. That's a bad one. 0 for 15 happens, right?
Right.
Everybody has
That's baseball. Yeah.
those things. You start talking over 50, you're in trouble.
I just asked a kid last night the same question. I said, if you went out to a game and you were 0 for 15, would you call it a slump? He said, yes. And I said, why? Because I'm 0 for 15. I said, so it's between your ears. I said, what if you hit 15 baseballs that you just melt?
Right.
Exit speed's 90, and you just line drive just all over the field. You hit a ball deep, kid makes a diving catch on you. What happens then? Are you confident still?
That's
gets
the
me.
hardest. Because it's the hardest thing to get kids to understand, because it's just kind of the world we live in today where everything's like result driven and it's all about the results, right? Like I've had kids with elite talent that, can flat out drive, like hammer a baseball. And, they have a year where they hit like 315, which
doing okay.
It's fine,
in
right?
high school, that's kind of you're good. But
you would call that an average season for like an elite player, right?
Right.
And people look at the batting average and they're like, "Oh, he's not that good." And I'm like, "Well, he lined out 27 times."
So let me ask you this: you're from a pro player, looking at that. How often did you guys talk about contact percentage? Right.
And like instead of hit percentage,
contact percentage. How often did you put the ball in play?
Right. That was like all those stats were kept. Those weren't necessarily things that were brought to us as players. Mm-hmm. They talk a lot about contact rate and hard hit percentage and all those things. And like for me, hard hit percentage is like the all-time metric. You know what I mean? Like, how often are you hitting the ball on the barrel hard somewhere? You can't control what happens after that. All you can do is get a good pitch to hit and hammer it somewhere, and then,
percentages take over,
happens.
right?
Yeah, like that's
because there's 9 dudes out there trying to stop you.
And now you got the shift and everything else. Not in high school baseball necessarily, but you got guys shifting on you, and they're playing percentages too. So it gets even harder.
I remember the first time actually starting to dig into that. St. Louis baseball fans, St. Louis Cardinals baseball fans are big-time homers for the most part. And it drives me crazy because I'm a big baseball fan. And I'm, again, not picking on St. Louis Cardinals fans, but
yes, you are.
Matt Holliday.
Go ahead and admit it.
I am. I am. So Matt Holliday's last few years here in St. Louis was not what you would consider Matt Holliday numbers, right?
Right.
22 homer, 20 homer guy, 25 homer guy. But he had led baseball for, exit velocity, hard hit contact percentages, and he was hitting in the outs. I can remember hitting 115-mile-an-hour ground balls, and shortstops at that level are really good.
Right.
You're getting thrown out by, 60 feet because he can't even make it out of the box. It's hit so hard. And it happened this year with the Cardinals early on. You had Paul Goldschmidt. You had guys that were hitting baseballs just lined out or hard ground balls and barreling. And then eventually it obviously made its way to the gaps, and we started hitting doubles and dingers and all these things that we did towards the end of the season. It happens at the highest levels.
Yeah.
You know, and if I have to compare stuff, that's what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what we're chasing as our dream, our end goals, or to play professional baseball, barrel that thing, hit it hard. And if you go 0 for 15, I guarantee at some point you're going to have 15 bloop hits in a season.
Yep.
You just made up for it there, you know, but you're not satisfied because you didn't hit the ball hard.
Right.
But you're not satisfied because you're 0 for 15 for hitting the ball hard.
Yeah.
That upstairs is why I think we create slumps.
Yeah.
The mental side of it, right? So everything that we've done, that with the body work that we've done through, you know, training or whatever, all of a sudden goes out the window because you're trying to change something because you're 0 for 15.
Yeah, I mean, my playing experience when I was in pro ball, I was always kind of the second guy, right? Like the second catcher. I always had, it worked out the way where I typically had a first rounder ahead of me on the same team a lot, which is fine. Like that's reality. And, you know, I would get to play every third or fourth day, depending on how it shook out. But, you know, it's really hard to go out there and have success when you don't see a live pitch for 3 days. And, you know, I struggled. Like I was a career, like 220 hitter, you know, it's just kind of played out where I'm a hitting coach now. Right. But, no, I mean,
learned a lot.
The guy's hitting 220 and he's a hitting coach. What are we doing? No, I'm kidding.
But the mental grind of that, you know, and I mean, I would go through 2-week stretches where I didn't have a hit and I played 4 times, and, you know, you're just sitting on that, like, you know, just mentally struggling with it. And, you know, I wasn't, you know, it was never like bad mentally for me, but like it was a challenge, you know what I mean? Like I felt like I was slumping a lot, and the reality was I wasn't getting enough at bats to really have success. And no matter how hard I worked, it was too hard, you know.
I think I've used this a lot. Mitch knows this. It's something my dad taught me early on. It's something that he got out of a flying lesson that's used in flying all the time. But it's an application in life. It's an application in whatever you do. And we talk about this all the time. Power plus attitude equals performance. Application of knowledge. If you can apply the information given you, you're a hitting instructor. You're looking for that kid who really can apply the information. And especially if you have an elite athlete who can apply information, data, and whatnot, now you have something. The next step is the attitude. And I've always looked at this at the professional level, at high school, at college, at professional. Once you get into high-level sport, this becomes the thing because talent always gets higher, right? You're dealing, it's what you said, you got that first-round draft pick. How do you stay mentally in the right frame of mind to go out and do your job? Mm-hmm. And that becomes, I think, the most difficult. Not that you didn't or whatnot. It's not what I'm saying. But that becomes the challenge. Yeah. Because at that point, why is there one NBA team winning the championship? Why is there one MLB team winning? Why is there one team winning the NFL? Listen, all those teams are good. Those are the best athletes in the world, right? So now why are these people winning and losing? And honestly, I think a lot of times it comes down to attitude and holding your mental attitude in the right place as a group. So that takes each individual. And if one is out of balance, it becomes a very difficult proposition to put yourself. So in those things, I think being able to bring that elite athlete into that proper attitude, once he can apply all that, you're 0 for 15 and all of a sudden he's breaking bats and throwing the water cooler and no, dude, no. You've hit the ball. You're hitting the ball on average 95 miles an hour. Stop.
That's all you can do. Yeah.
But it's that, to me, is the most difficult part, right?
Yeah, that's the most difficult part to get kids to understand, you know. And all you can do is just continue to preach it to them and you know, give them the information. What they do with the information, you know, is kind of up to them. You know, you talked about applying the information. I think even before that, like they have to retain the information, right?
Agreed.
Like I struggle getting kids at times to just like remember that we had the conversation. You know, I'm serious. Like,
Are you really?
Yeah. Like,
That's
do you
tough.
remember yesterday when we talked about this? No, it happens all the time. You know what I mean? And
Often.
yeah, like you have to get them to retain the information. Then they got to figure out how to apply it. You know what I mean? And that's a challenge.
Yeah, I'm learning that as I coach high school ball, which I'm going to say any of those boys that go to Timberland, make sure they're prepared in a month from now. 'Cause they're my guys, so I get to see them a lot. And you have some talented young men over there that's with GBA and that's going to play at Timberland. But I find out that like going from 14, 15, eighth grade to freshman year, there's a big change there. The buy-in has to happen, but by the time they hit that 18 years old, it seems like it takes to become, I guess that's where we start to separate the men from the boys, I guess, if you will, is that high school age group, because now kids got cut. You don't have that, you might have 6 guys on a team that's really good and 5 guys that may bring them down or the talent level down. And so they get frustrated, they get into high school and all of a sudden these kids are getting cut and they're playing with elite level athletes. Now they're sitting. Now they have to deal with that and how that you mentally prepare for those things. It becomes a real big challenge. And then you have to get the kids to buy into this stuff. Mm-hmm. So retaining that information, if I have to tell you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday how to do something over and over and over, you're going to find yourself on the back end of the roster.
Well, yeah, I'm probably done at that point.
Yeah,
I'm serious. If I have to tell you that many times, like it's not the right place.
Okay.
When you're talking to one, you're talking to all. So if you have to say it 5 times to one kid, that means the whole 18 guys are hearing this 5 times. I should not have to repeat that to another athlete 3 days down the road. Right.
Well, let's put this into real world application too, guys. You know this as well. We're and I say real world, it's all real world, but grown up world, let's put it that way, okay? These kids, do you understand that if you're at a job, if you're not listening and paying attention to your boss, if you have one, I don't know.
I do.
Listen to myself, but that's the thing, right? Why am I having to tell you this every time? That goes into an application of understanding that whether you play baseball long-term or not, you're going to be in a job. And if your boss keeps telling you, how come you didn't get this done? Yep. If you can't retain the information, that's a serious thing, period, as far as your life skills, correct?
Absolutely. I think I try to use baseball as an avenue to teach life as much as possible, right? And these kids, it's hard to get them to understand that once baseball's over, then what? You know what I mean? You can't count on baseball forever. I've been fortunate to not have to work outside of baseball, but that doesn't happen to a whole lot of people, but my playing career came to an end when I wasn't expecting it. And you have to be ready to move on and apply things that you've learned to real life.
It's the only place you can, be 30-something% successful and be just that. And I think about if I was 30% successful in my adulting life or whatever, adult life, I'd be probably a pretty bad situation. You know what I mean?
It's true, right?
And so
I agree with that.
Baseball has taught failure for sure and how to deal with failure. But, it's always interesting. I deal with 14-year-old kids, and I'm trying to, they're going through their maturity, whatever. And I said this the other day, I said, so what about what happens when you become an adult and you have to go through these moments? What are you going to do then? Because a kid was talking about some things that upset me, bothered us, a little bit. And the parent was like, well, we'll just take care of it. And I'm like, no, you won't. You should not be, applying for your son's job at 22 years old, fresh out of college or whatever happens. I'm like, what are we doing? Why do we have to just hold tight these 14-year-old kids? Let them be free, let them be loose, let them have conversation with their coach. Things are changing. Let them develop that relationship, those hard talks. And if it really becomes an issue, then the parent should step in, but let them be.
That doesn't mean they can't be a part of or they don't understand what was going on or know the conversation. But I agree with you. That development of that relationship has to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. I think allowing these kids to kind of learn on their own and grow and learn to communicate, and all those things are extremely important. Like I heard an analogy from one of my bosses, actually. His name's Joe Lopez, and he talked about the helicopter parent, right? Have you guys heard that term?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I have not.
Oh, you have not?
They're always hovering over their child,
okay.
right? Like,
I mean, yeah, I've heard that.
the parent, the parent that's got their nose on the net during a hitting lesson or whatever, right? The helicopter parent, and how that hurts the child as they continue to progress or don't progress because of it, right? And he says, be a lighthouse parent, right? Like watch from afar and be able to see what's happening. And I thought that was one of the best analogies, and I'm fortunate that I'm going to be a parent in April, and I thought that was.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's, I was like, that's really good,
So with that being said, and I want to ask you this, because I think I agree with you, but one of the troubles I think with that, and I think what creates some of these helicopter parents is the coaches and the instructors not being willing to talk to the parents. I think Mike Matheny did one of the biggest disservices to this in his manifesto, saying that parents are the problem. I disagree with Mr. Matheny. It's my child. That doesn't mean I have to hover over you.
Sure.
But if I want to come to the instructor after where my kid isn't there and say, hey, Jake, what do I need to be talking to him about? What's going on here?
I think that's happen.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the conversation. But I think there's ways to do that to everybody being on the same page and allowing the child to develop that relationship, right?
Right. I think communication is a huge part of it. But I think about part of this is selfish, but like that's my job, right? And I would hope that if you're bringing your kid to me or any of our HitLab instructors to do your training, that you trust us.
Right.
And if
do your homework, there's a website.
If you don't trust us, like that's fine. But we're go find somebody you do trust, because that's going to be the best thing for your kid. But I don't know. I think the communication afterwards is extremely important. But I think allowing your kid to grow and learn to communicate on his own is huge. It has to happen.
Yeah, I think there's two different things there as well. Is when I think about a helicopter parent, I'm thinking about the kid who stares at his parent looking for reassurance.
That happens too, doesn't it?
And that's how I picture the helicopter parent. I don't mind a parent sitting in and watching an instruction, because at the end of the day, who is going to be with that kid 6 out of the other 7 days, right? Sure. It's that parent. So if you have to have the parent buy in. So the parent does need to be there to listen. But like you said, the lighthouse parent, watch, open the ears up. But as soon as that kid turns around after like a good swing, he looks back and makes sure dad is or mom is like, good job, buddy. Yeah. That's where I feel like that's where we end it at this relationship, because that's not for me. That's where I need to let that parent needs to get out of there. I need to let the kid focus on me, focus on, being humble, whatever, like, because we're going to roll over the next ground, roll over the next pitch just because it happens. It's baseball. Right. But I don't want that parent also going, yay, little Jimmy. And then, what are you doing? You're rolling over. That's the stuff that I can't handle. The parent that's in the backstop chirping at his pitcher, but when my other pitchers are pitching, they're not doing that.
I think age plays a factor in it too. Like as far as the parent really being around and learning as well, right? I think once you get to that high school age, like
parents are excited just to let you get out the house.
Like it's time to let them go a little bit. Maybe even 14. It's time for them to progress.
And the other thing that you mentioned there, trust, and I think that's the big thing. And I would encourage parents, as a parent, and we've all been guilty of these things, but as I said, here's a website. You can go to virtuallab.com. The information's there. Yeah. Do some research. If your name's on this, Jake Depew, if you want to do a hitting, Mitch Thomas, you can go to the hitting zone and look and see. There's information there that you can do some research. One of the things that always sets me off a little bit with our current climate today, everybody goes, well, that's the problem. It's why I hate these blanket statements. It's why I think, I don't know Mr. Matheny. I'm sure he's a nice man, but I don't like that blanket statement. Just as I don't like all this, clubs are killing youth baseball. No, they're not. That's a blanket statement. It's wrong. Are there some clubs? Maybe. Are there some parents? Yes, and it's usually the smaller percentage, but they get the biggest voice.
It takes one bad experience and it ruins it for everyone, you know.
And so I would say do some research. If you want to take your child to a club, why don't you find out a little bit about the club? Right?
That would be
Talk
wise.
to the director and say, hey, this is who we are. This is what my son is. You know, what's your expectation? What's it cost? Everything. Find out. Maybe some parents should be interviewing. We're so eager to go to the tryout and go, yeah, I play for that we don't go to the club and see the director and say, hey, what's your club about?
Right.
I think that's a realistic thing. And I think there needs to be some transparency on both sides in those things. Just as the same thing, you've got virtual HitLab. It may be for your son, your daughter, but it may not be for this one's son or daughter, right?
Exactly.
So the information's there. Go check it out.
Right.
Agreed?
Pretty simple. Yeah. That's great advice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's the gray hair, man. It's finally.
It's the old age.
It's finally sinking in, and it's too late. Ask my son.
We don't want to ask him. At least not on air.
Oh man, no, I'm kidding. It's fun. But that to me, there's some simple things, and that's why I love these conversations. We get to know people. Take this, you say, hey, I want to go see Jake and talk to him a little bit, see if it works.
Yep.
You know, go see me. There's all kinds of instructors out there. There's people doing different things, this, that. There's somebody for your child if you want to put them in that situation, right?
Yep, absolutely.
100%, man. And now, feeding off kind of that, I just basically tell parents who I am. And that way, I'm not misleading in anything. I am tough. On kids, I have expectations.
I think just your voice would intimidate most kids.
They do. There's a girl that's going to play college softball. She came to me when she was 11 years old, and we talk every week about stuff, because every time she hears me raise my voice, she just like crumbles, you know. And it's in fun. She pokes, for fun or whatever. But when she first got there, and all we did was hit together, and she would go home and be upset because I would push her to get better. And if she came back the next week and she told me she didn't work for a week, I'd make her run. I'd do things. And that's just me. And so if I don't get the commitment, I don't want to give it to you. I've been doing this. I'm 41 years old. I've been doing it for a while. And I feel like I deserve that now. And so that's what I do. Like, I'm tough. I let parents know when I'm holding tryouts for my team, I let them know who I am. When I'm there for my other coaches' tryouts,
Transparency.
I just want everybody to know this is what you're getting into. I don't want you to come back to me. You told me this. You told me that. I want to make sure you know that I'm that jackwagon. I'm that guy that's probably going to piss you off a little bit.
Admitted it.
But I'm okay with that. That's how I am. You could ask if you got Curry still up there and Landon. Ask them guys how I am. I mean, I don't sugarcoat stuff, because this game is hard. And if you're trying to be next level, whichever that level is, it takes dedication. It takes something. And if you want to get there, man, you got to go, and you got to be open, because going back to trust. You're not going to trust me if I'm lying to you at tryouts, and then 3 weeks later, I'm not keeping my word on what our season looks like. Nope, we have structure. We're going to put the structure out there. We're going to stick to the structure. Understand things happen, right? You lose players, you might have to whatever, but at the end of the day, if the structure is there, you can build off that.
Yeah, I think tiptoeing around things just to, try to say what they want to hear or whatever it may be, or to keep them around, I don't, that's not the right way to do it, in my opinion. I think being honest and telling them how you feel and what the expectation is the best way to do it.
And as we're finishing up here today, I just, because I think it's interesting, just in one last piece of information, my brother-in-law told me about a friend of his son went to a try. He was a lefty pitcher, really good, whatnot. Tryout, Missouri State. I think he was trying for a walk-on or something like that. Everybody knows it's Coach Gutton, right? Gets his chance, gets up on the mound, throws one pitch, and he hears, "Next." That's it. I mean, that's baseball, friend.
It's real.
That's next level.
That's as real as it gets, right?
We try to like with our GBA players, we try to get the message across that like it takes one pitch or it takes one swing for a college recruiter to figure out if they need to see another one or if they're on to the next guy. Like it happens that quickly. People don't understand that.
And in all levels. I coached D3 softball, and same thing. I mean, I can remember not dressing in my team's attire just to be a hover, to watch where the parents were, what they were, everything that you can imagine. That was my job, is to go out there and do that. And again, we'd go out there, we'd see a kid make shortstop, right? Great athlete, has great numbers, make one mistake, glove gets thrown down, kick the dirt or whatever, and not recover. I'm looking for both those things. You can be a little frustrated, right? You're allowed to do that, especially you make 1 or 2 in a row or something like, well, not 1 or 2 in a row, but make 2 or 3 errors. Then you're looking at that kid and it's how do they react to their teammates? So they letting their teammates pick him up, and we look at stuff like that. Yeah. And when we're recruiting athletes, because we're recruiting culture.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, the game's built around failure. So like, how do you respond to it? Can you come back from it? Is probably as important as your skill set.
That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
It is.
Jake, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Come back and see us.
Yeah.
Let's talk some more.
Let's do it. Anytime.
Mitch, it's always fun.
I would like to get all of us on here so far that've been on for hitting.
Oh, dude, we got to get a bigger room.
Well,
we'll go over to the sports bar and hang out.
There you go.
We'll go there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on.
All right.
Now you're gonna have to give me. He's gonna.
Not
going to
get punched, right?
No, he's gonna give me a free plug.
The hitting zone right there. There it is. The hitting zone. There it is. Do it. Go to the hitting zone. That's it. My bad, dog.
No, it's good. No, go anywhere we want.
Yeah. I mean, again, it is. We do that. We're the field house over there with Matt. We got great folks. We're down with the Naturals. There's a lot of great clubs and a lot of great facilities and that's why I love this. I don't want to. That's why we have all these different folks on.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
fun to me.
It's great.
I will tell you, I thought coming into this little session, and I know you're trying to wrap this up, but we've had 4 coaches now on here: Shane, Charlie, Jake. Just 3.
Yeah.
3 hitting coaches. I'm a little different on the technology side.
And we're trying to get Tyler Mitchell from the recruits down there, and I think he's coming on in a couple weeks.
Perfect. But think about the message from all of them. We're trying to keep it simple. We're trying to build athletes. We're trying to build mental toughness. It's common. And really, you're seeing that there's a lot of good hitting coaches still out there. And there's not a reason that I should be going, don't go to Jake. He doesn't know what he's talking about because of this. Or don't go to Mitch because he's this. Or Charlie because of this. Or Shane because of that. No. And what I'm seeing is that we're really a lot alike. Yeah. And the messages that we're trying to get across. And I love that piece. And so, maybe we don't need to bash each other, out there to parents and to just get $1. Let's make sure this is about the young men and women that we train. Yep. And that's what I feel from Charlie, from Shane, and from Jake having these conversations. We're alike.
Yeah.
It's good.
We want the kids to get better, no matter their level of talent.
I think St. Louis baseball, is has a tendency to, clubs have a tendency to butt heads a little bit. And, it's, I think we need to come together and try to figure out how we better the kids and as a whole, for the community. And
there's a ton of talent here.
We'll compete when we get on the field, right?
That's where it should be.
That's right.
There's enough money to be earned everywhere.
Yeah.
There's enough kids.
That's right.
All right. There it is. Jake Depew, HitLab, Gators baseball. Great stuff there. Mitch, thanks, buddy, as always.
How come I didn't
love
get a
the
cool
conversation.
He did this to me twice. He gets
He's
a great
the guest.
plug.
He's the guest.
I got it. All right.
He's
You
the
must be
guest,
here
bro.
a lot, huh?
He's here every week.
There you
I
go.
come on every Tuesday. I like to ruffle feathers. That's why when earlier in the show he was like,
And
"Come on,
it's
just
going to
be
be
honest."
we got PBA at your facility, with the winter workout tour, and it's just panning, all that. So
We got a
you,
lot
bro.
of baseball going on over
That's
there. We have like 50 something teams that use that facility over there, hitting zone. So it's nice to have that many teams. But again, you have egos everywhere, right?
Yeah.
We have Gas House in there, it's a big club, and we got our tribe.
We're gonna have to get Earl on here. I got to get Earl on here. I've been trying to get Earl on the show for a while. Earl can hit.
He can hit, not a curveball.
We won't. Shh, quiet. All right, we got
take him.
Well, he does take him, and then he steals bases off me. I played against Earl growing up, so every time I see him, I give him a big hug, and then we talk about sports, and I have to throw that stuff out there because he couldn't hit a curveball.
We won't hold that against him, though.
No, because he can murder a fastball.
Yeah,
You just
man.
don't throw him fastballs. I will walk him, then he'll steal bases, but he'll never get past third. So that's good.
Oh,
I'll block everything
man.
that's in front of me.
Crazy.
I would pitch out and he would steal off me.
Yeah.
That's how fast Earl was.
Guys, thanks a lot. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Wait a minute. Subscribe first. We got to subscribe.
Hit the
Dinger.
that's
Leave a
what we do.
comment. We want the comments too. Justin, I think he's been throwing up that comment button. If you saw the comment button there, get your comment in there. We got movies in there. We got hitting. We got all kind of stuff. Leave us a comment. Show us subscribe. Dingers, doubles and dingers, double D's.
double D's.
Right, baby.
Everybody loves double D's.
That's right.
Everybody.
Everybody. Oh, we're done. All you hitters, hit them where they ain't. There it is. And we'll see you next time.